Teacher Avi. I'm a Polestar practitioner as well as an approved Scolio Pilates master teacher and instructor here at Body Dynamics, the Center for Sustainable Health. And my model today is Lisa Clarkson.
Hi, I am a retired scoliotic dancer as well as a physical therapist and certified stop Pilates instructor.
A dancer with scoliosis has unique challenges, specifically because the dance technique tests the range of their ability and their physicality. This spine here shows your basic S-curve sort of signature for a scoliotic spine. Every scoliotic spine is different, as individual as your dancer can be, but we'll use this one for our general purposes today. As you can see, there's a side shift, a lateral shift, and you're also going to see that there's a rotational component in the vertebrae. Take a moment and just note that with these side shifts, you're going to also see a change in the pelvis, in the level of the sits bones, and this is going to directly affect your dancer and what you're going to observe in class, and also what they're going to feel in trying to accommodate the dance technique. We'll describe this as an S-curve, and for our purposes, I'll talk about where the curve is. So in this case, our rib hump is a right curve, and the lumbar is a left curve. Another factor that we need to consider with a scoliotic dancer is the muscle imbalances. And as you can see in the spine here, we will have muscles that are shortened and muscles that are overstretched along the spine. And so you're going to find that quite often your dancer is going to talk about feeling compressed or munched or tight on, in this dancer's case, the left side of the back. And then as we get farther up into the thoracic area, there's always going to be times when the right curve is going to create problems and discomfort as well. They may talk about pain underneath their shoulders or in their backs. What we're going to do now is a 5-point observation for your scoliotic dancer, noting that we can look at a chain of events, if you would, that help us understand the weight distribution, the muscle imbalances, and then also how we can help this spine elongate and be more balanced. Start first with the head. The head's going to want to find the horizon. First of all, you're going to note, though, that both ears are not on the same level. Come down to the shoulders then. Note, is one shoulder higher than the other? Does one shoulder round forward? Is there winging going on the scapula? Come down to the ribs. We want to find the rib hump. That's your thoracic curve. From the pelvis then, is there a hip hike? Does one hip rotate forward? Come down to the sits bones. Does one sits bone live higher than the other? And then come down to the feet. Do the feet pronate or supinate, or do a bit of both? An easy way to determine if your dancer has a rib hump or a curvature is a test that's been used for years in the elementary schools. Have your dancer stand with her feet together. Hands are together like you're going to dive into a pool. And your dancer rolls down very slowly. And you're watching along the spine, and you're looking for the differences in the ribs. Does one rib look higher than the other as she rolls down, and also into the lumbar area? Does one side look higher than the other? And ask your dancer to roll back up again, and once again note the changes in the landscape. I'm going to ask Lisa to roll down again, and she's going to pause for you as she gets to her rib hump. Note that as she rolls down, you can see where the right rib is slightly higher than the left. She's going to continue down in the roll down, and then you're going to note that the left hip is slightly higher than the right. But we need to let you all know here at the first get-go that every curve is different, and that Lisa has worked with her body as a professional dancer, as a Pilates instructor, and as a physical therapist to truly be able to come to this alignment. This work is nuanced, it's three-dimensional. It's not an easy fix, but it is very, very doable. And the curvature, to quote Lisa, does not have to be limiting in what your dancer wants to do in a professional career. I'm going to ask Lisa to demonstrate, if she does not hold herself together with her core control work, as to where her curves would take her. Now I'm going to ask her, as she's learned and as we've worked together in the Scolio Pilates work, to line herself up, de-rotate, and come to an elongated position. She makes it look easy, and it's not. The dancer needs to activate specific muscle groups to help align the spine and prepare for class. The first will be lifting the rib hump away from the floor, your basic side plank here. Lisa's now activating the musculature around that rib hump. Abs are engaged nice and snug, and she's lifting and engaging that musculature to activate and be able to align better standing. Next, the dancer is going to do clams. Having warmed up and lifted the rib hump away from the floor, the dancer is going to keep that rib hump lifted away from the floor as she does clams to warm up the hips and strengthen the pelvic stability. Clams are also very important for turnout, which a dancer needs. So this exercise is repeated on the other side, but with an elongated spine, allowing the ribs to relax and stay resting on the floor. Hip abduction, very important now for your standing leg. Once again, with the right side down towards the floor, Lisa will lift her ribs away from the floor, strengthening that rib area as she challenges her core control by lifting that top leg. Elongate, roof the mouth to one wall, heel to the other, keeping the pelvic bowl stable as she lifts and lowers the leg with control. This exercise is also repeated on the other side, keeping an elongated spine, ribs resting down towards the floor, abs tight. Prone hip extension, very important for the dancer to have for cambre back and arabesque. We start with the dancer on her stomach. There's a yoga mat rolled up underneath her hips. The hip bones are on the back arc of the yoga mat. Pubic bone is off the mat. We have a towel rolled up underneath Lisa's left rib to help de-rotate her rib cage because she has a right rib curve. Head rests gently on the hands, pubic bone zips. Inhale to elongate and find the length in the spine. The next challenge will be, with that elongation, to lift a leg off the floor. As she inhales to elongate, float a leg off the floor, keeping that neutral spine. Elongate always, helping with that arabesque or tendu derriere, keeping a nice, beautiful positioning, de-rotated and supported. This is also a great place to come just to have a little bit of back traction. Very nicely done. Thoracic extension, otherwise known as cambre back in our world, extremely important exercise for your dancer with a curve to learn how to use that sense of elongation as she lifts and arcs back. You can see here how Lisa is doing a beautiful job of keeping a nice elongated spine, zipping up the pubic bone. Once again, inhale, reaching the elbows down towards the hips. Important here that your dancer learns to extend the spine and not just hinge in the low back or where the curve changes from the upper back to the lower back. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, keep the length as you return to the neutral length. Next will be the bridge, basic Pilates exercise. The importance of the bridge for a dancer is to be able to connect and activate abdominals, glutes, and inner thighs. For your scoliotic dancer, quite often one glute does not work as well as the other. And in Lisa's case, and quite often we find that the glute on the same side as the rib curve is the glute that's a little less active. So a bridge is very important there for the dancer to find how to activate both sides of their glutes and their abdominals and their transverse abdominis equally. Fingertips on your hip bones, please, Lisa. There you go. And the dancer's job is to do a bridge, lifting the hips up off the mat. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, zip. Pubic bone lift, sits bones, and lifting the sits bones equally, which means she has to engage that right glute first in order to keep those hips level. Dancer is going to bridge only up as high as she feels no pain, elongating, reaching the sits bones through the shins, knees away from the pelvis. Good. And go ahead and put your hands down for this next one, Miss Lisa, and bridge again if you would. And we can see your hips. Wrapping left transverse abdominis, snugging right glute. Last part of our warm-up will be a standing positional exercise. We're going to ask the dancer to find the earth by pushing the feet through the floor. We have a baby turnout going on here. Good. Zip up those abdominals, lift the roof of the mouth away from the pelvis, lace the fingers over the head, reach, 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 reach. Good. I'm going to ask my dancer to think of gliding the right ribs to the left just a little bit. And because Lisa's right hip likes to live out to the right, I'm going to ask her to think of drawing that right femur up to her left shoulder. Just a bit. Good. Find the earth, find the sky, open the arms, and keep that length of the spine. Recovery for the dancer is hugely important. The dancer needs to return the spine to a more neutral position by elongating the spine to counter the effects of gravity and the resultant muscle imbalances. Lying on Lisa's side, she's now going to have her rib curve up, basically for her on her left side. In this position now, she's going to inhale and elongate, reaching the roof of the mouth to one wall and reaching the heel away from the roof of the mouth. She's going to, as she exhales, she's going to allow the ribs to soften and drop down towards the floor, using gravity now in a passive manner to counter that rib curve. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, keep the length of the bones and allow the ribs to soften. Prone over the yoga mat once again, but this time now we're going to be using passive breath. Inhale, elongate. Exhale and soften, and allow the tail to drop down towards the heels to lengthen that low back. Releasing the low back musculature, the lumbar musculature that takes so much stress. Reversing the effects of gravity. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, let the ribs soften and lengthen the tail towards the heels. On all fours, or quadruped, the dancer now can allow the right rib hump to relax down towards the floor to derotate the rib cage. This is nicknamed wag your tail. Since the dancer has a lumbar curvature, we're trying to reverse that lumbar curvature now with a very, very gentle wagging of the tail and the feet. So Lisa's now going to wag her tailbone and her toes towards the left, and then back to center. Very small gesture, very easy little swing of the tail, and then back to center. You want to make sure that your dancer is not dropping sideways into their rib curvature, but that they're staying beautifully elongated from the roof of the mouth to the bottom of the pelvis. Hanging off the bar, something your dancers probably do already, but we're going to focus it just a little bit more for our scoliotic spine. This is a glorious position. And now we're going to have Lisa think of dropping her right rib, her rib hump side, just gently down towards the floor. And then on the lumbar curvature side, that would be her left sits bone, just to reach that left sits bone towards the mirror, away from her just a bit more. Inhale, fill with air. Exhale.
So there you have it, a warm-up and a recovery for your scoliotic dancer. This is just touching the iceberg, if you would, of beautiful work that has an enormous amount of depth and nuance, ramifications that we want to have exercise as part of treatment and maintenance of scoliosis. Your dancer needs to have a way to recover from the stresses as well as a way to warm up, as every dancer does, to face the challenges of dance and choreography. Feel free to contact me here. I'm more than happy to work with you and delve more fully into the world of scoliosis, Scolio Pilates,